Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by the channel. So for this video, we're going to be checking out the ORION Hellcat. And if you're not familiar with that micro brand, it's done by one gentleman in the United States named Nick. In the past, I've actually had the Hellcat as a prototype in for review on my channel, but that was on a nice leather strap. So some of the key features that I like about this iteration of the Hellcat is that the finishing is done a little bit different on the case, and it comes on this really amazing flat link bracelet, which I think elevates the overall aesthetic of the watch. In fact, I see this as a good alternative to the Rolex Explorer 39 millimeters. So I'll give you guys a bit of a head-to-head comparison between these two at the end of the review. So getting back to the Hellcat, this is a field/pilot style type of watch. You can see you have a nice matte black dial with high contrast white Arabic numerals for the hour markers. You got some vintage syringe style hands, and you even have like a crosshair pattern in the center, as well as some text. You got the Orion logo just printed below the 12, and then just above the 6 o'clock it does say Hellcat and automatic. Now let's run the numbers on this guy, because I think the proportions make this watch very well suited for an everyday type timepiece. So it is a 39 millimeter case diameter. And then if you flip the watch to the side, lug to lug between my thumbs right here comes in at 46 millimeters. Case height is nice and low in profile. It's only 10.5 millimeters. That is to the bottom of this really cool polished case back that's fixed in with screws, to the top of this slightly domed sapphire crystal, which does carry some anti-reflective treatment on it, although if I'm being honest, you can still get some pretty harsh reflections in my studio lights, like you see right now. And lastly, the lug opening here for the supplied flat link bracelet is a nice even 20 millimeters. Bracelet does taper down to about 18 before you get to the Orion signed clasp. And I like the fact that this clasp has 5 layers of micro adjustment, so you can really choose where you want to anchor the clasp to give you a really nice fit. These links are fairly thin, and you can size individual links by removing the pin and collars in them. So yeah, there are collars in the center portion of the links here. So you want to be careful if you're going to punch out the pin that the collar accompanies it. And once you have it sized though, it's very secure. There's hardly any flex at all to this bracelet. And I think it's one of the most innovative bracelets I've come across this year. Like the case, it's mostly done bead blasted, but you have very fine polishing on the center links, just as they articulate. So really cool light play that you can get with this bracelet. And again, extremely comfortable. If we take a closer look at the matte black dial, you can just see that there are subtle touches to it that really elevate the look of the watch. First and foremost, those Arabic numerals aren't just your standard font. I really like the text and how these numerals are printed on the dial. And even more so, you do have like a running minutes track at the very periphery of a dial. And you can see that at every 5-minute interval, it transitions from more of a railroad style pattern to a filled in white pattern with black dots around them. I do enjoy the handset that's on this watch for the hour and the minute hand. You have very fine syringe style hands. And then your second hand is needle thin. In fact, if I do have to be critical, sometimes it's hard to actually even see the second hand. Now if we move away from the dial and take a look at the case, this case is pretty much all bead blasted, but you have some very fine polished reliefs here. You can just see that micro bevel that extends all the way from one end of a lug to the other. I really enjoy how Nick did this signed and screw down crown. It's extremely well knurled with the Orion logo there. Because it is screwed into the case, you're afforded 100 meters of water resistance with this timepiece. So it does make it a great everyday field type of watch. And then to operate the crown, it's really easy to do even with gloved hands because it's knurled extremely well. The automatic movement housed inside here is a Miyota 9039, which is a no-date version to the Miyota 9015, which is nice because you don't have any ghost date position. You can manually wind it here, but then if you do pull out the crown, you can quickly set the time to any reference time you want, and then it's pretty easy to thread back into the case. So with the 9039 series from Miyota, you get a 42-hour power reserve. It is a high beat movement, so it ticks away at 28,800 VPH. You have 24 joules, and as I mentioned, you can manually wind it, and it does have automatic winding as well. In terms of accuracy, I do think Nick does try and regulate these movements. On the time grapher, this guy is picking up about +5 seconds per day on average, which is well within cost, and I'm actually happy to have it with that level of regulation out of the box. In terms of low light legibility, I think this watch does fairly well. I mean, you do have high contrast printing on a black dial, but you also have the hour markers and the hand stack filled up with BGW9 Swiss Superluminova, which gives a nice blue teal glow to it. And I will throw up a low light shot now, just so you can see what that looks like. To be honest, it's not the strongest lume in the world, and the lume on the hands does appear to be a little bit stronger than the hour markers, but you can still get orientation fairly quickly at a glance. Just want to give you guys a quick shot at the case back because it's done all in high polish, and you kind of have some constellations. Maybe the Orion constellation on the case back there. So here's how the Orion Hellcat sits on my 19 centimeter circumference wrist. So that's 7.5 inches if you're going imperial. And it seems very well planted on this fine link bracelet and is extremely comfortable with a low profile. Now I did weigh this watch and sized up for my wrist. It comes in at a very comfortable 125 grams. Which is lighter than some other field watches on bracelets, like my Rolex Explorer. So a quick head-to-head shot here, Hellcat on the left, Explorer on the right. Both come in with a case size at 39 millimeters, but I think you can see how the Orion just plays a little bit differently with respect to finishing and having mostly a bead blasted finish compared to the Explorer, which has fine brushing and some high polish like on the bezel there. Both watches do have 100 meters of water resistant. You do get that 3-hand automatic movement, so no date there, but both are quite easy to tell the time at a quick glance. And I can actually recommend both. The Orion Hellcat is definitely more of an affordable alternative, coming in at a price tag around $600 US. So guys, that's my quick overview of the Orion Hellcat. As always, I would love to see your feedback in the comment section of this video. And if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. It does help me out a lot. So again, thanks for sticking around to the end, and as always, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video.